very closest relationships. I love the story of a married couple who were asked 1 year after they got married to reflect on what in that year had surprised them most about being married. I wonder how you might have responded to that if you can remember your first anniversary. Well, the husband in this couple said the thing that he found most surprising was he'd realised how selfish he really was. And the wife, well, she just thought that was pretty typical of him, and how selfish he was in the first place, so that moved on. We're often wired, aren't we, to say, what do I get out of something above what can I pour in? What can I sacrifice? In the scripture that Sam's just read, we get this wonderful phrase, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. The original word there actually means to empty ourselves of glory. To empty ourselves of glory. If it's all about us, me and you, in the here and now, well, of course we won't want to empty ourselves of glory. Are you kidding? If it's all about the here and now, I will need some measure of glory. I want to keep it. We need to feel important, worthwhile. We need that sense that we won't be forgotten. But what if we adopt an unselfish, sacrificial way of living? The scripture goes on to say, rather in humility, consider others above yourself. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Of course, we have our own interests, our own responsibilities, and they're very important. But don't be all consumed by them. It's not about thinking of ourselves in a lowly, down kind of way. I'm so worthless, and everyone else is so much better or important. It's not about that. And it's not about thinking of ourselves too highly. I'm so great, and the world should all revolve around my needs. It's a way of life that simply means we are not thinking and talking about ourselves quite so much at all. This sacrificial humility is a kind of self-forgetfulness. And this morning we read this wonderful passage because it points us to the ultimate example of emptying. The passage talked about us being emptied of glory. And what an example we picture today. Those we honour who emptied themselves of their hopes, of their personal dreams, even their lives. Such a sacrifice. Emptying. The passage here speaks of Jesus emptying himself. Not an emptying of his divinity, he was always God, but for us he emptied himself of his glory. How amazing that God makes himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant. All that is majestic, emptied. All that is loved and honoured, emptied. All that is glorious, emptied. And then in that emptiness, he fills up. But he fills up with rejection and suffering, with punishment, taking that on himself for our benefit. Friends, I find today such a sobering time as I consider sacrifice of those who gave their lives for us, of God himself. And then I look at myself, and I encourage you to do the same. When we try to be our own little God, do it alone. When we try and fill up with our own glory, and then we look at him, when he was empty and glory stripped, he gave us the chance of fullness, of peace with God. He came down, emptied of glory, treated the way we deserve, so that we can go up, filled with his glory, and be treated in the way that he deserved. As we consider today this very human act of sacrifice, this emptying of personal glory, may we both be thankful and pointed towards an even greater glory, an even greater sacrifice.